We all go a little mad sometimes. That's what Norman Bates would say. Well, we all remember that shower scene and the effects of Psycho and the mastermind of Alfred Hitchcock. Well, today we're going to explore some of that right now. So this Alfred Hitchcock masterpiece is going to be celebrating its 63rd anniversary this year. Well, we wanted to go ahead and kind of go over a few things that maybe, just maybe you didn't know about Psycho. Well, the brilliant director Alfred Hitchcock, he paid less than $10,000 for the rights to Psycho. That's right, he paid $9,000 for the rights to the novel of Robert Bloch. And so he purchased this based off of positive reviews that he had read from the New York Times. And he made his bid anonymously to keep the project under wraps. Now, Hitchcock did have problems getting this off the ground, as Paramount had cold feet regarding the project. So Hitchcock decided to pay for the film out of his own pocket and forgo his substantial director's fee in exchange for 60% ownership of the film. So this is very highly uncommon arrangements that you would see, but it put a lot of money in Hitchcock's pocket. Plus, the film doesn't even belong to Paramount anymore. It's been a Universal title since 1968. I guess Paramount made a bad mistake on that one. Now, Hitchcock tried his best to not have anything leaked out, any media breaches, but Hitchcock would take extreme measures to guard the film's plot and the ending, in addition to withholding the release of any stills from the movie's key scenes. Hitchcock had refused to let film critics see the movie ahead of time, which may have accounted for some of the movie's less than stellar opening weekend reviews. However, Hitchcock did get the last laugh after all. The hard part for Hitchcock, though, was despite his attempts at keeping the project a secret, Variety and The Hollywood Reporter published very thorough spoilers regarding the Psycho plot months before the film actually came out. Now, I'm sure a lot of you do know, but in case, Psycho is the first American film to feature a toilet. That's right, a toilet on screen. It was the first American film in which we hear a toilet being flushed. That's how Americans were in the 1950s. They just didn't want that on the screen, I guess. Well, we meet the loving son, Norman, but what about his mother, Norma? Well, there was 3 actresses that recorded Norma Bates' dialogue. Their recordings were then mixed together until Hitchcock found the right tone of voice for each particular scene. Now, if you watch the movie, you may see that Alfred Hitchcock is actually in the film. He was in a cowboy hat, and he was outside the office building. He was the gentleman outside the office building a little bit over 6 minutes into the film. That's right, Alfred Hitchcock in a cowboy hat. He was pretty much well known for showing up in a lot of his movies. Now, another interesting note about Psycho was that the film was given an R rating by the MPAA, but not until 1984. Yes, a film released in 1960 would now be rated R in 1984. The MPAA ratings, they weren't created until 1968. But they do like to re-rate older films from time to time. So that's how Psycho was able to get its R rating. Now, for Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho was his most successful film, financially speaking. It made $32 million at the box office during its first theatrical release, off of a production budget of $807,000. His next biggest hits were Rear Window, which grossed about $27.5 million in 1954, and Notorious, which made $22 or actually 24.5 million in 1946. And Psycho also earned Alfred Hitchcock his final Oscar nomination. That's right, Psycho marked the fifth and final time that Hitchcock would earn an Oscar nomination for Best Director. The Academy gave him the Irving G. Memorial Award in 1968. Alfred Hitchcock never won an Oscar for directing, so he earned his first and his final Oscar nomination. Let that sink in. Now, Janet Leigh was a big actress at the time, and obviously she went on to bring us Jamie Lee Curtis, who had notoriously, did well with Halloween. But Alfred Hitchcock kept Janet Leigh on edge throughout filming by hiding the different versions of the mother dummy in her dressing room closet just to have a little fun. Now let's talk about the shower scene, right? Because you never see the knife pierce the body. But the 3-minute shower scene featured 77 different camera angles and 50 cuts. It took 7 days to shoot that scene. And that was for that time, that period, that was huge because, like I said, they had to do everything possible to create the suspense and show you that there was actual murder taking place, but you actually never see the blade hit the skin. Another side note about the shower scene was that it was originally intended to not have any music. What? Yeah, no music, but composer Bernard Herrmann insisted that he be allowed to play Hitchcock his score. Well, Hitchcock loved the famous screeching effect, and Herrmann ended up getting a bump in salary, and obviously the music did play a huge part into the shower scene. Well, you love your slashers, and we can say that the birth of the slasher genre, one of the earliest examples of graphic violence in film, was due to Psycho. And there are many works of classic cinema which, while important, seems unimpressive by today's standards. Hitchcock stood apart. His work endures and influence is still felt whenever a movie pushes you to the edge of your seat with tension. So thank you, Hitchcock. We appreciate you. When Psycho came out, it caused a sensation at the time, and its influence is still being felt today, as it is the picture that shattered Hollywood's taboos around sex and violence. And it definitely opened the floodgates for a lot of the films that we have today. Thanks for watching, everybody. And remember, we all go a little mad sometimes.